Hello, my name is Dr. Joseph Missal. I'm Director of Bands at Oklahoma State University. This video will be devoted to "You Banks and Braes of Bonnie Doon" by Australian-American composer Percy Aldrich Granger. The title itself means the banks and hillsides of the pretty River Doon in Scotland. Granger's original score of "You Banks and Braes of Bonnie Doon" was first performed on May 23, 1903 by a chorus of voices, whistlers, and harmonium in the London home of Mrs. Frank Lowry, Granger's composer patroness at the time. Granger played the harmonium. The composer first set this sensitive Scottish folk song for wind band in 1932, 5 years before his masterwork, Lincolnshire Posy. Scored in F major, the full tune is set twice in a flowing legato style. The entire work is only 32 measures long. Form of the work is A prime. Each section is 16 measures long with 2 8-bar periods, each with a 4-bar antecedent and a 4-bar consequent phrase. The 4th and 7th scale degrees are always absent in the melody. The basic material is a pentatonic scale that fits the key of F major. Harmonizations include those scale degrees when appropriate. The melody is most likely derived from an old bagpipe tune. The melody is in AABA form and has a beautiful lyrical quality. The principal alto saxophone, second cornet, second clarinet, and second oboe carry the melody in its 2 statements. The conductor must take great care to see that this melody is always enhanced and never dominated. Counter melody appears in the English horn, clarinet 3, alto saxophone 2, cornet 3, and horn 1. Supporting material appears in clarinet 4, tenor saxophone, second horn, and first trombone, and a drone reflective of bagpipes appears in bassoons, low clarinets, low saxophones, and second and third trombone. The rhythm of the melody is primarily in 8th notes, with the interruption of a Scottish snap rhythm, which is a 16th note followed by a dotted 8th note with an accent on the 16th note. The concluding bar of the first A phrase should be stretched through beats 4 and 5 and include a slight crescendo through the 8th notes played by the first horn, English horn, third cornet, third clarinet, and second alto saxophone. This makes the phrase sound more musical and retains the harmonium character of ongoing sound. After an expressive repetition of the first 4 bars, the second A phrase, and a careful approach to the cadence in bar 9, the conductor must obtain a release of the F major chord in such a way that the sound continues into the anacrusis of the B phrase. As a crescendo gradually builds in bars 10 through 12, each of the 4 C naturals must mount in increasing intensity. This tension resolves on the downbeat of bar 13 when the melody finally shifts to a D and then begins to soften. Granger's suggestion of a slightly faster tempo in bars 10 through 11 and a slackening in bars 12 through 13 heighten the emotional impact of this passage. Bar 13 also features Granger's first alteration of the F major scale. With the return of a B flat on the 4th pulse of this measure, Granger slides conveniently into the dominant 7th and onto the 3rd repetition of the A phrase. As the first setting of the tune concludes, the marking slow off serves as a reminder of Granger's rejection of traditional European tempi markings he called blue-eyed English. The short fermata should be treated as a momentary pause in the music's flow, where sound will overlap and players can breathe before continuing with a second statement of the tune. As the second setting of the tune begins again at measure 18, It is joined by the lyrical whistler's tune in the high woodwinds and principal cornet. Although it must not dominate the primary melody, a dynamic shaping of the whistler's tune in accordance with its contour will enhance the first two A phrases of the second setting. The second statement of phrase B, measure 26, is also the first instance of tutti ensemble playing. Rising scale fragments in high woodwinds and principal cornet direct a growing harmonic and rhythmic intensity that climaxes in measure 30. In measure 30, horns, trumpets, and some low woodwinds who have accented sixteenths and continuing eighths should play them heroically before joining the softening of the rest of the ensemble. This section is derived from the whistler's tune and is the only part of the piece that is actually articulated. The horn timbre should predominate. The glissando between the last two fermatas should be interpreted as a slow fall and perhaps thought of, in Frederick Fennell's words, a happy sigh of musical satisfaction. This is a rehearsal guide for Ye Banks and Braes of Bonnie Doon by Percy Granger, performed and rehearsed by the Oklahoma State University Wind Ensemble. If you would play from the beginning to circle 10, please. The melody should be shaped as follows, with the C on the second pulse of the second measure being the climax, and the A on the downbeat of the third complete measure being the subclimax. The Scottish snap, the 16th note followed by a dotted 8th note, should be emphasized and brought out of the texture. Could I just have the melody instruments, please? Counter melody that's underneath that should be shaped exactly the same, except when the antecedent connects to the consequent phrase, in which the counter melody should slow down and slightly crescendo to connect the two phrases together. Counter melody and the melody together, please. Counter melody and the melody. Good. Everything beneath that we'll call supporting material. The long sustained notes we'll call drones. Ye Banks and Braes being a Scottish folk song, perhaps the drones are relevant to bagpipe. These voices should not get in the way of the melody and the counter melody, should support them. The supporting material should go in the same direction as the counter melody and the melody. Full group, please, to circle 10. to 10, we have the B part of the melody. As the melody proceeds through the first 4 bars, we have lots of repeated C's. Each successive repeated C should be louder and have more stress until we reach measure 13, where it resolves to a D on the downbeat. This is also our first instance of chromaticism in Granger's harmonization. I like the trombone, first trombone part to be the lead voice in that chromaticism, bringing out the B natural into the B flat, setting up the dominant and returning back to the A phrase. This is the pickup to 10, the anacrusis to 10, and we'll go right up till 18, gang, without the pickup, right up to 18 without the pickup at 10. This is a pickup at 10. At 18, we have the introduction of the Whistler's tune. That previous measure, Granger has marked a short fermata. We'll just extend time slightly and then set the anacrusis in motion into 18. Could we go, gang? Before we do that, let's do 18 and introduce the Whistler's tune. If you try to whistle this tune, you run out of air like I do when I whistle it. So we're going to shape it the same way. So we'll diminuendo as we head into the dotted quarter note. So the upper woodwinds, please, and the first cornet at 18. And then that's the layering on top of what already exists. Please play the first 4 bars of that as a full ensemble, starting measure 17, So we can do the fermata, measure 17. We stopped measure 21. We want to pull back on beats 5 and 6 in the Whistler's tune. We once again have chromaticism, also to be led by the first trombone in measure 21, and then we'll resolve into 22, where we have a climax on the high C on the second pulse. There are many ways to interpret the following 3 measures. The way I like to do it is to have the saxophone, the first and second saxophone voices, echo what the high woodwinds have created in measure 22. The saxophones echo it in measure 23. Full ensemble, please, from 18 to 26. 18 to 26. Finally, we reach measure 26, where we have our full tutti ensemble. The trumpets, the euphonium, and the tuba and string bass have been patient for the 26 bars. All conductors should be cautioned to work hard to suppress them They're impatient when they get there. They want to play louder than is necessary. So we'll begin at 26. We'll lead our energy to 30, where we have the climax of the entire piece. At that point, we'll slow into 30, subdividing beat 6 of 29. We have the Whistler's tune orchestrated in horns, and low woodwinds, and trumpets. We want the horn timbre to be the dominant timbre, and we want this to be above and out in front of the rest of the texture. Everybody at 26, please. Very nice. When we reach that climax at 30, the horns state that theme so heroically. In the second statement of it in 31, it will taper, and we want to stretch beat 6 as we come into Granger's slow-off lots in the penultimate bar. The very last measure, the glissando, should be treated with fingers. The first horn note should be the dominant timbre to sail above everything else. And as Frederick Fennell says, the glissando should be treated like a happy sigh of satisfaction. Could we do 26 to the end one more time, please? Good. The very last note should be treated with a release of dissipation, with the lowest instruments, the tubas and the low woodwinds, being the last sound out. This is a performance run of Banks and Brays of Bonnie Doon.